Yo, what's up, gang? Let's talk about 60 days on semen retention, guys. So I've practiced SR on and off for years now, done short streaks, long streaks, anywhere between. And today we're going to talk about 60 days in, okay? So whenever I hit 60 days in, so 2 months in on semen retention, guys, I feel like it's like a struggle getting there, first and foremost. It's not easy going 60 days in. However, it's a very useful tool in the toolbox if you're a guy who wants to focus on yourself, right? You want to focus on um, building your business or doing better at the gym, kickboxing, whatever, man. Whenever you are a guy who wants to not care about female attraction, not care about dating or whatever, but you're just trying to lock in on yourself, the longer streaks, like 60 days in, for example, is a great um, starting point, I feel like, I'm not a huge fan of the longer streaks. However, that 2 months in, the 60 days in, guys, is really where things, I feel like my interest in women really kind of drops quite a bit. I don't know what about it, but something about like these longer retention streaks, I just kind of like, I'm all gung-ho before, want to approach, want to talk to girls, whatever. But hit that 60 days in, it's almost like I don't really care as much anymore. I just kind of, my libido goes away, and I'm just like trying to just focus on myself. All of a sudden, other things become more interesting to me than just hooking up and stuff. I'm more interested in like, um, for example, like doing better in my personal goals, whether at the time it's like kickboxing or like, working on other stuff. It's a great tool. Like if you're a guy, I think if you want to do female attraction, I don't really think the longer streaks really kind of do good for that. I think up to 2 months is good for female attraction. I think other than that, for me personally, there's guys out there who, I read their comments, watch videos, they like it more. But for me personally, guys, I'm not a huge fan of, if I want to do female attraction, I'll start over at that 60-day mark or, 60-day mark. And however, if you're wanting to just focus on you do you focus on things other than women, 60 days is a magical starting place, guys. It's where things really start, at least for me, kind of, I'm starting to transmute the energy more. That raw sexual energy, guys, at 60 days in, it's starting to go towards other things, right? And, I just feel like I get more peace of mind, really, when it comes to just like myself and, just my own self-esteem. When you're like a guy on semen retention and you're retaining before the 6-day mark, you know, then I feel like it's more like that bull analogy, right? Like a cow versus a bull. A bull is like, a cow is all tame, right? It's fucking castrated. It's got no nuts. But a bull has got fucking nuts full of the fucking jizz, right? It's ready to fucking go. It wants to fight. It wants to fucking, it's a high testosterone or what I don't know, fucking, But anyway, sorry, thought in my head, but I didn't quite say it. But but high testosterone, high sex drive. It wants to get with the lady cows. It wants to fucking, fuck up anyone who gets in this path. It's aggressive. Same thing with semen retention, guys. You lead up to that 60-day mark. For me, I feel like I'm in that fuck, man. Like, let's go. Don't fuck with me. I'm standing for myself. Not being like aggressive, so to speak, but more of like, I'm not gonna take as much shit, right? But when I hit that 60-day mark, I'm more of like kind of more chill and mellow in a sense, right? That's just me personally. So that's why it boils down to, guys, like what you want to do, right? I think if you want to attract females, shorter streaks is better. I think if you want to do more personal growth and more of like, all right, I'm gonna lock in for an extended period of time, and I'm more of the long game type thing. I think the longer streaks, like for example, 60 days and more, for me, that's why I start bunching into a longer streak. I think anything before 2 months is kind of like considered a shorter streak on retention, at least for my own, way I think of things. The way you might think of things differently, possibly. But when you're like for me, whenever I hit 6 days or more, that's more of a longer streak in my opinion. Okay, so things are a little bit different, right? But anyways, guys, I think you don't really shouldn't like think of this too heavily, guys. Retain and see how this feels for you, right? Everyone's different. The way I describe semen retention is based off my own thoughts and experiences, right? the way you might have it, it might be completely different, right? Every guy is different. And, you know, what may work for me at a certain point may not work for you, vice versa, right? So it's all about what you're looking to do in your life, what your goals are. And semen retention is a great tool in the toolbox. Use it use it whenever you feel like you need to lock in, right? But also too, it's kind of like, it's kind of like think about like weed, right? Like marijuana. You got general weed, right? But then there's sativa and indica, right? So you can use different ones for different use, right? For example, you want to fall asleep, you're gonna smoke some indica, right? But just sativa can make you a little bit sleepy too, right? And it's one of those things where like retention, the big blanket for retention is like any streak, anything from 3 days on to fucking years, right? As long as you're retaining. But when you want to do a specific goal in your life, like you want to lock in, for example, like you're gonna do a fight, right? You're training for a fight, you're a boxer, kickboxer, whatever. I think you should do maybe like a month in, right? 30 days in is probably a sweet spot. You land your fight, or 3 weeks in, right? And you're fucking like going. I don't really think should be maybe like 4 or 5 months in, you're going to feel differently, right? So that's what I'm trying to say is that retention is a great tool, but there's different like variations of the tool, okay? Or tools you can use, right? So anyways, guys, let me know what you think below. Reach out if you want to talk. Peace.